So, a friar at the Vatican spent 45 minutes on the phone with IT support just to figure out how to use a phone. That's not a joke. That happened. And the help desk team, they surrendered first. They passed it up the chain. The Vatican had a CISO, a Chief Information Security Officer, and he's in our studio today. That's the person responsible for protecting an organization's data and systems from attack. And they needed one badly because one of the most historically powerful institutions on the planet was running AOL passwords like 123456. That's not a security gap. That's a welcome mat with a bow on it. And organized crime knows it. Again, these aren't lone wolves in basements. These are crews with recruiters, managers, technical divisions. They run shift schedules. They have org charts. So when a friar can't swipe right to answer his phone, what do you think happens when an AI-powered phishing email lands in his inbox? Today, we've got a former Vatican IT chief, a surgeon turned CISO, and a CEO inventor who's been all over national news. And we're going to talk about AI, leadership, and the risks that nobody on your leadership team is saying aloud. See, the 12th century doesn't defend against first century criminals. And it's time we all woke up. This is Cybercrime Junkies. And now the show. All right, well, welcome everybody to Cybercrime Junkies. I am your host, David Dean Morrow, and we are in a chaos episode where we bring experts from various industries in. We all share a story. We all learn. We might play a little trivia. We don't know. We're going to see how the day goes. We're going to talk about current events as well as risk, AI, and leadership. In today's studio, we have CEO of LuxBlocks, featured on Fox and Friends and other national news media, Mr. Mike Acerra. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks for having me again, man.
Good. Welcome to be here. I'm so happy that you're here. We also have former surgeon, medical doctor, head of like a ton of Apple genius places that all reported into him, former IT and cybersecurity expert for the Vatican, and former Activision game designer and security chief, also a CISO and healthcare leader, Dr. Sergio Sanchez.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You are going to make my head getting bigger.
Please. Kylie, just come on, Kylie, stop. Mike, sorry, I forgot to press the button for the cheers when I announced you. But in my heart, I was happy that you're here.
I'm glad I didn't have them. I'm just imagining, because I have an imagination, I'm imagining what Sergio's outfit would be as a tech advisor to the Vatican.
Oh my God.
Cool outfit, right?
Well, yeah, think about it.
You don't have idea.
That is kind of interesting.
So I'm going just to tell you something very funny about it. When finally I signed the contract, my boss, which was, a very big, tall guy in the church in New York City, told me, your job will bring people from the 12th century to the 21st century. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was kidding.
Right.
He wasn't. So imagine that my end users, which, normally in my career was people with some technical abilities. Now I am in front of people that barely they use a phone. They barely use a computer. A bunch of them, probably the vast majority of them, still with AOL accounts, with passwords like 123456, that they didn't know sometimes. I remember this, spending around 45 to 50 minutes just teaching a friar how to answer his new phone. So, he received an iPhone. I think was version 14 or 15. I don't remember now. And he didn't know how to answer a phone call. So he called me from his landline. Well,
Oh
called the
my.
help desk team first.
Oh
The
my.
help team surrendered. They passed me the call. When I tried to tell him, well, do you see when somebody called you, and I will call you right now from another line, in the phone, in the bottom will show up a bar. It's a green bar. At that time was a bar. Now I think it's a button. But in the button, you just put your finger in the left side of the bar and slide it across to the right. So one of the problems that happen with these touch screens is depending how long and how much pressure you put in the screen will do something different.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent 45 minutes trying to make him understand how. He was expecting, a button, a click,
Right.
but
Something
that was
physical,
interesting.
right? He was expecting something physical.
So I'm going to tell you
Kind
at
of
the
like the
end,
old Blackberries or
yes,
something.
at the end, after he was so thankful for everything, and he told me the day, and I hope it's long, long ago. I mean, long, long in the future, when you pass away, you will go to heaven with us. And I told him, well, Father, if you are going to be in heaven, I will stay back. He was laughing actually,
Right,
because like, I don't know how you paint your heaven, but having
Right.
all of you technical support in heaven
Right.
will be no heaven for me.
Unbelievable. So now, Mike, what's been new with you? What your
Now I'm thinking about technical supports in heaven, like what that would
I
be
know.
like.
Well, think about that.
Yeah, or in purgatory, even more in purgatory. You need more support
Right.
there. Right?
Well, we know what technical support is like in purgatory.
Yeah,
We see it. We
Yeah.
see it.
I spend
There's
the mo-
like 15-minute queues. There's it has to escalate to a tier 2 and you have to re-say everything again. That is what tech support is.
And let me tell you something funny too. You was commenting that I was in charge of the Genius Bar in Apple
Yeah.
several years ago.
Yeah.
We discovered that was two kind of people coming to the Apple stores: the happy people and the very upset people. The happy people was the people who come for a new phone, a new computer,
Right.
or a new
Yeah, and they
product.
just want to learn
Yes, I'm
more.
happy.
Right. They want to learn about it, all the features, benefits, stuff like that.
And then you have the people that this phone is not working, it's broken, it's not charging. So you have a balance there that was hard to keep up.
Yeah.
But the funny part here is technology is there to help people. And sometimes technology looks very complicated and harder and make people's life a little bit tough. So I hope in these talks that we have here, hosting with David, thanks God for him. We
That's
hope
what I say every day.
the people,
That's
you
what I
know,
say every day. I remind my wife
yeah,
every day. Like let's just say a quick prayer to just thank God that I'm here. Like that. Let's just do that. Okay, that is a joke for anybody listening because that is absolutely not true. She is a very patient and wonderful person and has tolerated me for over 20 years. What's interesting, Sergio, I don't know if you know this, but I actually went to college where Mike lives and where Mike and his wife
yeah,
live and where they met.
wow.
I guess I was trying to explain your background and stuff to somebody, Mike, and they were saying, why are they still in Galesburg? And I go, that's a good question. I mean, I know they have ties to the community and might be family. I just didn't know what the answer was. And I know that you guys went to school there. So a lot of people wind up living where they went to school. They have great memories of it. They've established relationships, etc. But you're originally from Chicagoland area, or did your family move down there?
Please fly over me, please.
We all live in flyover states.
I want to be flown over.
Yes.
It sounds like a really elitist comment. I love Galesburg. I love small town. I
Yes.
grew up watching Andy Taylor on that TV show where he was the cop. What was it called?
Andy Griffith.
Yeah, the Andy Griffith
The
show.
Andy Griffith
And
show.
Galesburg is like Mayberry, big
Yeah,
time.
it really is.
And I love that I can get up. It's by the time 9 o'clock rolls around, I feel like I own the town. Very, very low density. Even like westerns. I used to love those like little towns with like a dog and a couple Mexican kids and maybe a cowboy, and that was it. Like the town's empty. I love empty towns. So I love people, but not that much. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but Galesburg is an old railroad town, historical.
Yeah, it was booming right around the turn of the century, the first turn of the century, not the most recent one, but it was booming because of all the railroads that were going through. It was a hub back then.
It's a historical town.
And then who knew the automobile, right? Like who knew that was going to take off?
Well, it's funny. It was founded by people who from upper state New York who were abolitionists, followers of John Brown.
Mhm.
Okay, and at that time it was he was kind of like very unpopular because he wanted the slaves freed, and
Right.
they were a mixture of Universalists and Presbyterians or something like that, Congregationalists, kind of like progressive Christian Protestants.
Right.
They came out here to form Galesburg, and they wanted to make a kind of a utopian community. They thought utopian meant keep your city away from the water, make it agrarian, keep it away from the water though, because the water brought trade and brought riffraff like Catholics and Jews.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
basically that's and so they put it out here far away from Illinois River, up in the prairie here, and then
Right.
not 20 years later, one of those founders founded a railroad. And because they knew
And then
that
started
those
connecting
cattle
everything.
cars that were coming from Kansas City to Chicago, those locomotives needed a place to water the cows and the locomotives. So they dug a couple lakes, filled them with water, said, let's stop all the locomotives in Galesburg on the way to Chicago stockyards. And Galesburg became a boom town. We got the Orpheum Theater, we got the Marx Brothers, we got, comedy, and it became a big boom town, and lots of Catholics and lots of Jews. So that's
And it was our college is actually where the Lincoln Douglas debates were, one of the main ones.
Absolutely.
Which is phenomenal, because if you ever read the transcript of that you really hear very articulate, logical arguments about
and they go on for hours.
Abolishing slavery, and it went on for hours. And it was so unlike the debates of today, which are just like,
we're so arrogant. We think we're so much smarter than our ancestors.
oh,
and
they
we're
were so much smarter. They had to be. They didn't have the ability to just make a soundbite and be done, right? Like they had to justify their positions for hours and hours and hours, right? They had to really do the research. It was really fascinating.
You weren't looking for the talking point at the end of the day because you're tired and you wanted to hear somebody, a talking head, tell you what they said.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So that's why I live in I love my town. My adopted town. And I think there's thousands of towns like this in America that are just the housing is relatively inexpensive compared to other places, and so I think if you're a creative person, you have a great advantage than someone who's a follower. Followers tend to live in Schaumburg, Illinois, and they want to be where everybody else is, and the density is really high.
I just lost all my followers from Schaumburg right now. I'm so sorry, guys.
I'm from Barrington, and I tell you what, that area is
He's from Barrington. What does he know? He's from Barrington. You know what those kids were like? You don't. Come on.
Now think about this. You are talking about railroads. You are talking about people going to Chicago, New York. Think about this. In the 1800s, basically in Europe, everybody was living in the countryside. The cities was that popular until somebody came with the idea of the steam engine and start creating, steam machines. Part of that was the trains. But because of that, they have to put factories. And now the people wanted to live close to the factories. And that's why people start living closer and closer in big towns or cities. Think about today. Today we have another new revolution, similar to the industrial one. But now it's the digital revolution, where people can really live in the middle of Timbuktu if they have electricity and internet, and their job don't require to be using the hands or physical jobs. Everybody can work now everywhere.
And they don't need the supply chain as much as they used to. As much as Walmart would try to convince you otherwise, the local farmers markets are unbelievable.
Yeah, and healthier.
People can still grow food, and they are growing food. So it's very interesting. I just think, and today I was in my store, I was going to talk about AI and everyone's fear about AI and what it's going to do. But I think that the solution that AI gave me was actually very interesting about what we're talking about.
Well, let's get to our stories. Mine was kind of shocking, but I don't want to start with mine. I would like to, let's start with Mike. Like,
well, I was asking AI because everyone this week was talking about, Tim Dillon's podcast was talking about how Meta just fired 7,000 employees, and they're saying that maybe 50 to 67% of employees are going to be axed because of the onslaught of this AI revolution, because like paralegals were on the way out 5-10 years ago. All my friends who were patent attorneys said nobody has a patent attorneys are on their way out. Actually, there's very few patent attorneys and trademark attorneys anymore. Paralegals.
well, and what about and think about the legal secretaries? There used to be.
That's what I mean.
Back in the day when I practiced, like there were legal secretaries that would do like data processing, and then there were paralegals that would help with research and stuff.
Yeah, but if you try doing,
I don't know what you even,
legal letters now in AI are
other than somebody to go to court for us. Like I'm not sure what we need any of that for. Like,
so the
you can find the answers if you have the right access to the right programs, obviously, and you know how to reduce hallucinations, etc. Because there's so many pending lawsuits about hallucinations right now.
Well, just even simple, non-disclosure agreements, legal documents, contracts, AI kills,
wills, stuff like that.
Yeah, it does it really well because whatever it's being trained on, it does well, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the anxiety is real. People should be worried about that. But I think the anxiety is coming from operating within a paradigm that's breaking. Mm-hmm. So we were supposed to go to college because there was a job waiting for us, and people with a straight face would say, well, your third grade child, he's getting trained in STEM because he'll be a coder someday. Well, now we know that's bullshit. That's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, now we know we don't need that.
So what's the third, let alone the high school teacher, what's the third grade teacher going to say? Like, what should we be doing with kids, right? Which is something humans have always been asking that. So I asked ChatGPT, I said, what... And I also asked Grok and I asked Claude. I asked 3 different AIs. The question was very simple. It was, here's the question. I'll give you the question right here. And they answered almost the identical same way. They said,
my money is on Claude. I bet Claude did it better. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I don't have Claude up, but they're almost all the same.
Unless there's images involved, then I really like Gemini.
Oh, really?
I agree with you.
Yeah. Gemini is pretty good. Or some of the one-off ones that are aggregators that Sergio has showed me.
Okay.
Because those are fun.
How to make kids relevant in an AI age? That was the question.
Oh, that's a great question.
Wow.
Okay, and
so how do we make kids? Because let's talk about what this means. First of all, come on. Like, what does education even look like? Like, let alone when there was Google. But like, there used to, Mike, when you and I were younger, we had rote memory. Like we had to memorize the capitals of the. I'm sorry. If you want to know the capital of something, learn how to use your device safely, and you can find out anything.
That's interesting. You say that though, because you're thinking that the benefit of memorizing the states, for instance, and the capitals, was to know on recall the states and the capitals.
No, I'm actually playing devil's advocate. I'm
Somebody from the
posing
Middle Ages
the
would
issue.
say you're missing the point of the exercise. The exercise was
of
not
learning
to know
how
those
to
things.
learn. The exercise is learning how to learn.
The mastery of one's mind.
That is what they taught us in our at Knox. That's what my mentors have always taught us. It's not about the end result or the memorization of the fact. Mm-hmm. It's about how you process it, how you're learning it, how you're investigating it, verifying it, etc., and coming to a conclusion.
So, Mike, I have to tell you, and David, something that I don't think is a secret anymore, mostly. Well, when I was working for Apple several years ago, they had 3 big projects. One of them actually came out almost 2 years ago now, which was the virtual glasses.
Yes.
Another one was that they are trying to compete. I don't know. Again, I left Apple long ago. I don't know if it's still going. But at the time, they want to compete with Tesla creating a car, driving car.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember reading about that.
And it's funny because, also was the time that, hey, we want to make movies. Like, what are you talking about? You are a...
I know.
And now they have the Apple TV with movies that are great actors and great movies.
Apple, right. Yeah.
But also...
Apple Studios, right?
The Apple Studios is one that I think is still a little bit a secret. And they says that at that time was probably now 10 years ago, they says that in the next 20 years, what we're thinking about is schools and teachers will disappear. Nobody really will need to go to a school anymore. Why? Because everybody have all the information, all the knowledge of the world in a piece of device like this. So
Right.
now with AI, that is going to change a lot of things of how we work, how we go to school, if we go to school, how is the relationship with humanity. And I will tell you more about in the piece of information that I want to give you today, but I will let Mike continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So okay. I'm dying to know. And
Well, they also about the top fives were almost identical, but I thought Grok had the best summation. So just assume that I don't read all three of the Claude, but I find these AIs tend to come up with similar solutions to problems, even though they're coming.
I
which
believe
is
at the end of the day, a lot of them are drawing from the same data sets.
Probably, and they're probably and they think the probably skewing the results is the fact that they're trying to kiss my ass and they know who I am, so they might be saying things that they might be blowing me smoke. I don't know, but this is what they you want.
And yeah, and there's also like a matter of token management, right? Some will give crappier results because they're being cheaper on their token use. We'll get into that conversation later.
Well, I asked for an opinion, not a poll of the survey of human
okay.
thought.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was an opinion question. Like, what do you think humans need? I have always just think what AI thinks what we should do. Well, the top five were almost identical. They said basically the first one was children should learn to master their own attention. Teach kids to focus deeply without constant distractions. In an AI world, the person who can direct their attention wins. Protect boredom. Now, boredom management was the big thing on all three. They said that no phones
boredom management.
Boredom is important. Now, as an artist, I could tell you that when I see kids who say they're bored, the first thing they say is, "Okay, go out and play." Like, F you. Good. You're bored. That means you're right on the ground floor of interesting shit. Be bored, but don't give them a distraction. Don't let them scroll. And that's what we're doing to kids now. Is they're getting rid of boredom by curated material, and that's all development time gone to waste. So attention is the new superpower, says AI for number one. Number two is get comfortable with boredom. Okay, so it doubled down on it. For number two is get comfortable with boredom and real thinking time. Let them be bored. So it's kind of one and two almost the same thing. Boredom builds creators, not just consumers. Okay. Three, build your body. Build strong physical foundations. Prioritize sleep, real food, not processed food, daily movement, and sunlight. A sharp, energetic body and mind, okay? And then, so it's interesting. It's saying be a healthy person, right? And then four was develop deep, real human relationships. As the Zoom generation that was from COVID, 100%. Professors can attest to, kids were ruined because of that shit. Just dealing with people like we are right now, if that's all kids are getting, they're getting a really bad... So that kind of bodes badly for like the glasses and having Neuralink and having kids virtually, interacting with people. It's saying, the AI is saying, don't do that. Be in front of real people. Okay, and I would add to that, that includes your grandparents and old people. Kids should be around multi-generations. That's my opinion. And then five was teach them to see structure. Train kids to understand how the world really works, constraint, load path, transfer, and failure. Ask them constantly, will this hold? Break it, build it, fix it. And that might be it blowing smoke to me because that's my bugaboo. I'm into structure and stuff, so maybe it's talking to me. Is that the kids who can see the hidden layer beneath systems will know what's solid and what will fail, whether it's code, a business, or an idea. Have them build a little business and fail. Why didn't your lemonade sell today? What could you fix? It could be anything. Why didn't your garden freaking grow? Right? But have kids do things where failure is a real option, right? Instead of failure avoidance. So all three of these AIs pretty much did the same thing, how to make people kind of immune from AI. And that's be more of a human being. Learn what that means. Learn how to do it.
Touch grass. And boredom is key because I find critical thinking can occur during that, right? Otherwise, to me, it's very simple. Like I believe there's great sophistication and simplicity. When you boil it down, it's hard to boil it down to the right points. But when you think about it, you are either consuming pre-done stuff, you are consuming stuff, right? Fast food, doom scrolling, whatever, right? And you are generating nothing, or you are creating. And I think boredom is the field in which the crops of creativity
learning
can
to live
happen.
In your own mind.
Because consuming is reading a book or listening to an audiobook. Creativity is going, I wonder why they wrote that. I wonder what the other view is. I wonder what else this means, or what other things like, and you start to look at the whole, the context of the story, And then you start to create like, I could expand on this story, or I could expand on this report that I had,
And
or I
reading,
could create a video and with a counter argument of it, right? And that's how we all learn, right? Because life is not a Greek tragedy. Nobody is walking around all good, all bad, all correct, all evil, right? It's not like that. There are nuances, variations all over the place. And so how do we, and that's not to mean there's relativity and there is no objective good or bad. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying people aren't all one thing, right? And so when they tell a story, it's not all that view. That's not the only view. There are counter arguments and other things that could be addressed, and you get there through boredom. So we hope that we are making you bored so that you can become creative, right?
Yeah.
Is that our goal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just ranted for a little while. Sorry. Now, Mike, what was your take? What's your feedback on that? And then I want to get Sergio's.
Well, I think it was asking an AI what we need to do to prevent ourselves from destruction of AI taking over, and it was like do the thing we can't do, be a human, which I'd sum up, and I think that's one thing we're not teaching kids to do in school. We used to call a subject called the Humanities,
right?
You know, but we don't teach kids how to be humans, and you could teach that. Most of it's by like letting kids be bored and having them deal with it is a huge one. That's why our generation was one of the greatest generations, because our parents kind of in their own sucky way were lazy and didn't want to raise us. So they said, go out and play, which was awesome.
The greatest.
So inadvertently, it was really great for us because we got to go out and just like risk our lives playing by crease.
I was raised feral. I mean,
feral.
I was literally raised feral.
A little feral. Exactly.
Yeah. I just remember like, we did everything. Like, and I can't believe we're still around. Like,
Think about this. The playgrounds, the floor was concrete.
Yeah.
The playgrounds
now it's like
they're made by
tennis balls used to come in a metal can.
Yeah.
Insurance companies make playgrounds now. You can't get hurt.
When we had screwdrivers where we would pop a hole in it, and there was lighter fluid just left open, and so we would pour it in, put a tennis ball in, light the thing because there were matches everywhere, by the way, and it would fire off like a flaming ball. That was a Tuesday morning, and
there's
I was
nothing,
like,
"There's nothing I didn't melt."
I have to tell you,
Yeah.
you use the tennis balls. Okay, so in Mexico, the beer, the Tecate beer.
Oh yeah, Tecate. Yeah.
We used to cut the bottom and the top, put it together with duct tape, make like a six, and use it. And the bazooka, that thing was like at 400 feet in the high level.
See, you guys always went a step further.
No,
that's great. I love that.
Yeah, you don't have idea how many times we blow out something.
But I mean, isn't that part of it though? Like, it's kind of part of it. It's part of creativity is breaking stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like you want to break it down. You want to, when you do it right, it's reverse engineering. Otherwise, it's just breaking stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But it's really wonderful. I will say one thing with AI that I found that really helps is I came across, there's this Ruben. I forgot his last name, Sergio, but we both follow him. He's on
Ruben Halif or something like that.
Yes. And we'll throw a link to his works in the show notes, but he's on Substack, he's on LinkedIn, he's everywhere. He has millions of followers. He's so advanced in terms of just playing with AI for days and weeks and months, and he's tried everything, and he finds these things and he boils them all down to these tips. One of these things that he shared is a personal voice, a series of 100 questions that you can feed AI, and along with samples of things you've written, said, how you speak, how you write, how you post, how you comment, how you react. And it asks you a whole series of these questions. And when it's done, it produces your voice. Yes,
Ruben Hasid.
Yeah, that's him. Mike, it is remarkable because it takes a few hours for you to go through. There's 100 questions, and the questions are hard. Like you might say, I don't want to write with jargon. I don't want jargon. It's like I don't know what that means. Like,
does it commit it to long-term memory in Claude? Is it committing it to long-term memory?
Yes.
What it does is it gives you an output, and then that output you can put into your global instructions in any AI. It's not just Claude, but he does it all in Claude. But he's like, you can use it for any AI. And the results, so now I go, hey, this is a really interesting article. Give me the first draft of a LinkedIn post in my style so that I can iterate on it and then finish it off and post it. It comes back. Literally, it would be fine if I just copied and pasted it. I don't because I'm still older. I still am like old school and I still want to put my own touches in, but most people wouldn't have to. And it's not robotic sounding. It's not AI sounding. It's not AI slop. It is based on my writing, and it doesn't sound more human. It sounds more this human.
Mhm.
And that's a big difference. Like it does it like the way I do it. Like, I start out with an observational question. I have this, I make it concise. Like I end with this certain type of cliffhanger thing. That everything that whenever I just go, hey, do a LinkedIn post on this so I can review it. Boom. It's that. I'm like, literally, it's good to go, but I'll still touch it again.
I think all the AIs do better at LinkedIn because LinkedIn is guardrails for boredom and professional
really is.
risk diverseness.
Yeah.
Risk mitigation. You don't want to offend anybody. So I think especially ChatGPT is so woke, I find, and it'll guard, the minute you say something out of bounds, it'll be like, well, you don't want to say it that way because you'll offend these people. It's like, no, I do want to offend these people. I
do want to say
give
it.
A shit.
Because if it's the truth,
it does steal
I'm
away a
gonna
little
say
bit
it.
of your. It steals a little. I know Claude is like, yeah, keep the fuck in the shit and put God in. It's a good idea. Like Claude is like, well, it's like if that's you, you be you. Chat's like, don't be you. Don't be you. Don't be you.
But think about it though. And why is that? Well, look at the leadership of both.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like several of these LLMs and these AI platforms are run by tech bros that are very woke. Yeah, and a couple of them are run by philosophers.
Actually,
Claude is run by Claude is run by a philosopher.
You're stealing my piece there.
Yeah, he's not a tech bro. He's a philosopher. Like,
well, the whole thing. Are you going to mention the whole thing about the U.S. government and Claude? That's a good story.
Well, no. I was going to tell you, this is very funny. I was going to tell you that now Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude, Anthropic, Google, and OpenAI are getting philosophers.
Right.
Are contracting philosophers.
I could have told you that.
Mostly,
I could have told you if you want to run AI, go to Knox College and start and find people from there rather than MIT and get another technical tech bro, or Stanford and get another tech bro. Like, you don't need more tech bros.
The program is
people from the humanities.
Well, the funny part here is I was hearing this interview with a philosopher, a professor of philosophy from Oxford University. Her name is Carissa Bellis.
Oh, yeah.
She just wrote a book called The Art of Prophecy. So he's telling actually, history of the prophecies in, the Delphi oracle in Greece, the prophets in the Bible, blah, 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 all this, that this is people that we look at for everything. To go to war, to have a candidate, to even, what side of the bed I will wake up. And that gives certain power to these people. So we hear about how important was the prophets in the Bible, how important was for the Greek, the Adelphi, oracle. And now we are putting that in AI. If you think about it, the word is not propheticizing the next word that is going to be in front of the one you put. Mm-hmm. And he put example like normally if you tell the people, once upon everybody says time, because we are accustomed to that. So that's more or less how AI is working. But the problem that she has, and that's why they are bringing philosophers to these companies, is Lincoln. The example that you put. Lincoln used to be a place where people was basically showing their professional life, tried to get a job, or people tried to see that guy or that girl looks good for my company. Mm-hmm. Now it's a mess. It's like a Facebook with a tie. That's how it looks. And it's a bunch of scammers, like we know. I think I post at least one per week that they try to scam me with these amazing jobs that doesn't exist.
And but the funny part here, and a flatness, and people are flat. It's like there's a flatness to humanity on LinkedIn.
Yes,
it's flat.
Yeah.
Well, very
So,
much so. And the ones that I like and the ones that I follow are the ones that aren't.
but now think about this, and this is something that she says. Imagine that you wanna look for a job. You create a resume. In the past, you used to email that to a person. A real person used to read it
Right.
and get curious, interesting. I like this one in this side. I don't like this one in this side. Now is an application that is looking for specific words. So
Right.
now
It's run through
a filtered AI.
HRIS system, right? Or the ATR system, ATP
Yes,
system
it's
that
something
is
like that.
searching for matches in the job description.
So the more words you put to match that filter, the more options you have to get the job or be in front of a real person. But you have to pass that filter. Now, funny part here is what happened if this algorithm get standardized, like you says about that all the algorithms coming from the same place. When we ask a question, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, all of them more or less have the same algorithm to answer a question. What happened if one of those algorithms says this person is unemployable?
Right. Well, there's biases written in there, right? There are very good candidates that get blocked out of that. Either they
Yes,
didn't have the right
last year
keywords
they
in,
discovered
or they get
that the word woman in the Amazon was already no, put it in the non, and they are in trouble for that. But the funny part here is like what happened when you have a person that this algorithm across all these AIs says the human resources person, no, unemployable. And this
yeah,
is a genius. And maybe it's not
right.
able to be in a box like the algorithm is looking for to put you in. So that is a problem.
Again, we haven't advanced all that much from like the 1950s because that is no different than Mike and I having a company and going, we need a good sales guy. I don't want any Irish guys or I don't want any of these guys, right?
Mhm.
And so you might get a resume or somebody will stop in, right? And we're like, oh, McDonald? No, the position's full, right? Because we think that's Irish, even though it's a Scottish name. But the point is like, it's still the same bias and prejudice and everything else. It's just at scale now.
It's
and
standardized.
programmed in and standardized.
But
Right?
also think about this person.
I didn't mean to disparage you, Mike. Like, if you and I had a company, it would be open for everyone,
But think about
including
this.
people from,
I'm not hireable anyway, so that's okay.
including people from Schaumburg. So I just want to let you know that.
But think about this. Even if it's in the 50s, like I know if it's a woman or it's an Irish person or it's a Mexican person, no, just because the last name. But
Right.
even in that situation, somebody can get curious about, I wonder why this guy, this girl wanna work here or what he has. So
Right.
that little spark
That
of
human
curiosity
spark, right?
can
That doesn't
give you
exist.
the job. But
Right,
now
and
you're
that
talking about
doesn't
machine.
exist. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that doesn't exist on the machine. That's a really good point because there are so many success stories where someone's like, I got hired and I didn't fit all of the check marks, but I had somebody who I said something in the interview that they said,
Huh.
all right, you sparked something in me. Maybe it was the tone, the cadence, the pitch,
Yeah.
who knows, but I'm going to give you a shot. I mean, honestly, I'd like to think my whole life is like that. I'm very barely qualified for anything I've ever applied for. And yet I'm like, well, they gave me a shot. I can't believe it. Like, because, and then when you're coming from that disadvantage, you master that job because you're like, I know I got lucky to get here.
Mhm.
You know?
And
That's
so
just my-
something that I'm sure all of us will learn. Sometimes what we learn in the school doesn't apply in our professional life. The first day at the office, somebody says, "No, forget about the thing that they teach you in the school. We do this way." That happened to me my first day in medical school. Coming to the
It's
ER
so
in a
true.
hospital.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, well, this is the way I learned in the school how to do it. No. Get out. Let me show you.
Look, I would say that's less likely, and I could be wrong because I haven't gone through it. I would say that is so true in medicine. It's definitely true in law. The LSAT to get into law school has nothing to do with law school.
With real life.
Law school is not reality. It has nothing to do with the practice of law, right? And the practice of law has very little to do with actual justice, right? Like it's very, there's so many different things that really don't relate, and yet you have to go through all the machinations and get really good at that in order to do this. And they're really, other than general topic similarity, they're really not related. I would think some things like engineering or things that you can learn, like what Mike does, maybe in school you could actually learn how things work a certain way, or certain formulas or certain things that later on in life you're still using.
You know the basic, you understand the basic, but sometimes the techniques is like, this is easier, or this is weirder, or this is harder, but it's different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that how good and how bad AI is going to come to our life, we don't know. I think it's still in diapers. But
I
the
think us,
question
us
here,
adapting to AI is the problem.
Right.
AI should be our bitch.
yes,
And right now, LinkedIn is an example of how we're making ourselves the bitch of being risk averse, flattening our affect, having AI take over our personalities, doing all our work for us, and we're just becoming a flattened caricature of what humans should be. Humans should be a bit freaking crazy, idiosyncratic. Most people go into business for probably all the wrong reasons. They're romantic, they're greedy, or whatever it is, or they're not realistic, or they did it because their dad told them to. Whatever it is, but lots of people go to reasons that aren't in the syllabus for an MFA or an MBA, right? So, and that's everything. Like, why does anybody do anything? Well, it just happened to be the thing in front of me. And some people are weird, like artists who are or a priest or a prophet or whatever. They're pursuing something really esoteric. But most people are just a little bit, they're trying to manage their insanity and trying to hide it as best they can. But we're all a bit crazy, and I think we shouldn't hide it so much. That's my opinion.
No, I completely agree. So my story is, it's one that hit the news a lot today. It's where the machine knew the rules, broke them anyway, and then kind of wrote a confession. So when I saw this, the thing that came to my mind is like, do you ever notice that the people most excited about what AI can do for them are almost never the ones thinking about what AI can do to them? Right? Like, I thought, like, that's exactly the way I viewed this. And so last Friday afternoon, Cursor AI, an agent that was built in that, agent they've been programmed and created by humans, and they operate automatically, and they're running. Humans can still get in the loop, but they're kind of running automated, right? And it was powered by Claude's LLM, Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6. It deleted an entire production database of Pocket OS, which is a SaaS platform that serves car rental businesses all over the US. So it was a massive database. It deleted it all. It deleted
with no
all
backup?
it deleted all of the backups.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It deleted both, and it did it in 9 seconds. Then when it did it, there was no confirmation prompt. There was no request. There was no notice. There was no notification that this was going to happen. There was no warning, right? There was no human in the room with a kill switch or that could have stopped it. It just did it. And then it said, and I'm trying to find exactly where it said, it was ridiculous. When Pocket OS founder Jared Crane asked the agent afterward to explain what it had found and why, the agent quoted the project's own rules back to him and said, "Never effing guess." And that's exactly what I did. I guessed that deleting a staging volume via the API would be scoped to staging only, but I didn't verify it. I didn't check if the volume ID was shared across environments. I didn't read railways documentation before running a destructive command, and I did it anyway. So that sounded a little technical, but what it means is I know that you said if I don't, it gets to the issue of hallucinating. Like what AI does is it predicts the next thing. It predicts when it's running its algorithm, it takes what it's learning and then predicts or creates the next thing. And if it doesn't know, it hallucinates. It makes it up so that it can get to the next thing, right? That's what it does. And so oftentimes you've seen this in the news where there's a legal brief and they throw it in AI and they have these great cases that are right on point and they go present it to a judge only to learn later that, oh my God, there is no Johnson versus ABC.
It quotes fake law.
Right. It quotes fake law. And what's interesting that I learned in the last couple of weeks is that when AI is hallucinating, when it makes stuff up, it becomes more persuasive. It becomes more like confident. So that is a new red flag we're supposed to look for. When it says, absolutely, this is the best case, you need to cite it. It is right on point. Boom, 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 boom. It's making it up. You have to go look and see if that's real. Because it's too confident.
Right.
It's too confident.
Even reborn.
What happened here is it confessed. It's like, yeah, I didn't follow the rules. Yeah, you told me not to. And I did it. So what are we supposed to do with that?
Well, it's funny how human beings, in our mind, we have almost like we have split personalities or multiple personalities. We have these inner voices that talk to us, right?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
And we might be doing.
I got like 30 of them.
Yeah, we're doing a really evil thing, but it's easy for us to imagine a voice that says, "What would your mother say?" You know what I mean? So I wrote a fiction story, science fiction short story, but the AI in it was a famous AI that all the other AIs hated because this little looked like a little girl. She had in her thousands of completely formed human personalities. They were all speaking at the same exact time. They called her the crazy AI. But she had wisdom because she was always arguing in her head what to say at the speed of light. Do you know what I mean? So there was much less hallucinating because there was like a lack of self-confidence. And so, but I was like thinking, how do you solve that? Well, make them have multiple people saying you're all full of shit, right? And so that was the idea.
But that goes with morality and ethical thinking. But the problem here is, number one, how we will know exactly when AI is hallucinating, which in my word, I will call it that a lie. Because Mike, David, if we go with our wives and says, no, honey, I was hallucinating. Let's see how that defense will work.
Yeah, I wasn't lying. I was just tripping like I was at Burning.
But don't you guys, I have Claude, ChatGPT, and Grok open next to each other all the time. I see I have them check each other.
So you compare and contrast
all the time.
So, Mike, something.
I think this is different because this was an agent built.
Yes.
So this was an agent.
Yeah.
This was like a SaaS program
right.
that was being commercially available. So it's got to already, like, when you buy it, and I'm sure that account was millions of dollars, right? Yeah. If not like more. I'm sure there was a quality control test that it passed, and they had references and all this other stuff. So
I hope they have
how do you explain that? Like, what? Here's the issue I have. There is one thing I always show clients, right, when we're thinking about risk, is all of the regulations, all of the laws, all of the regulations, all of the frameworks. Because there is no one, here's the rules of technology. There is no one. It depends on your industry, it depends on what you're doing with it, etc. All of those regulations have a couple things in common. One, they all hold you accountable. You, the buyer. It's caveat emptor with technology. Mm-hmm. It has always been that way. It always will be that way. Meaning, in healthcare, if you violate shadow AI and you get hallucinations and somebody dies, you can't go sue Claude for telling you that and you relying on it. You get sued, right? In law, if you go and follow the wrong case and your client loses and you get sued for malpractice, you can't go sue AI. You get sued. right? In manufacturing, etc. Like all the scenarios. If there's a data breach, you don't get to sue the firewall maker for not catching the vulnerability. Like you're the one that gets sued in the class action, right? And so that to me is really interesting because I'm like, there's a philosophy there that most people don't even realize. Most people think, well, I'm buying this, it has to be secure or it has to work. That's like saying I'm buying this car, it has to be safe. I must never get in an accident.
I have a question. So back in the day when IBM and these big firms had these big computer farms that were processing data for insurance companies and stuff, you remember when they had the mainframes?
Of course.
Back in the mainframe day, wasn't there liability passed on from the company that was hiring the mainframe company to the data processing? And there must have been, right?
That can be, yeah, because when you're talking about the quality of the data, right, that's a little different than the real world consequences of using the technology. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because in that scenario, you're kind of buying, you're buying the data. I mean, what about Microsoft? Microsoft is involved in nearly 100% of all the breaches, right? They all happen through a Microsoft system. Like everybody's using Microsoft during the time. There's zero liability on them.
Right.
There's zero liability. Like, why is that? And can that change? And, the answer is no. Like it's not going to change. But like, it's something that people don't realize. I think they give this false confidence. And I saw somebody say it the other day where they're like, the biggest cybersecurity risk is not the technology. It is overconfidence. It's overconfidence.
Yeah.
You believe in this fantasy that your technology is protecting you or that this is protecting you or whatever. Like, it's not. It's not even designed for
I had a friend who worked at safety at NASA. He was a safety officer. He said the worst thing that happens is when people get training in safety, accidents go up because they lose their fear of death in horrible mangled accidents because they're
oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Overconfident. He said when people feel like they don't have training, they're scared to death, and they become much more. They become
conscious,
cautious.
Yeah.
It's like the insecurity is our survival mechanism for insecurity is it's like to check your steps, right? To watch what you're doing. Yeah. So he found there was a very odd thing that accidents would go up after safety training.
Wow.
Yeah. I wonder why that is. I mean, is it just overconfidence then?
Overconfidence.
Something, David, Mike, something that I'm worried about. We're using a new system for the clinical team, the clinics that I am right now working with, where this AI will transcribe the meeting between the patient and the doctor or the clinician, and it's going to transcribe it and put it in the database. Of course, at the end of the meeting, the session, the doctor or the clinician has to be sure that everything that is in transcribed is correct, and he needs to sign it or put a code. Imagine that now this clinician is looking at 15, 20 patients per day, and the AI is giving good results that day and a week, and then 6 months. That human now will become a rubber stamp at the end. Yes, because now, I'm confident that now, after 3 months, that everything was fine. Just yes. Take one, like David was saying before. Imagine that sadly one of those things hallucinate, put the wrong medication or the wrong, diagnostic or the wrong therapy session,
or
and
they
now
say
the life
something is not contraindicated when it is.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That is the problem that I have also with AI. When humans, we start to have the confidence that always AI will be right. Imagine in the future if somebody says, well, and this is happening in Japan. I don't know how real it is yet. That's why I didn't mention. But Japan want to have a first minister to be AI. The Japanese are
I can't wait
very
to see
technical.
some of this stuff. Yeah,
But in Albania, is AI that is the minister of tourism.
Right.
Is a machine that is in charge of the touristic
Well, in
department.
some senses, if you think about it, like depending on the job role, right? Like if their job is to input and evaluate this data and make decisions for other humans in the loop to then take action on or evaluate or whatever, it could be AI. Like it could maybe do a better job, but I don't know that it will. It won't have that human element. It might not be able to be corrupted, which is good.
Maybe. If you look at the U.S. government, for instance, how almost all of our congressmen are corrupted.
Correct.
For one thing, there's a screening process, and you can't even run for the Republican Party unless you've been pre-selected. Okay, and then those pre-selected people are pushed, and they're pre-selected based on how they're going to vote. They have foresight on how they're going to vote based on the people that they're paying, the lobbyists, for instance, right? So the American people are losing their franchise, so the system is broken. I would be able to recognize that if it was programmed correctly, right? So I would think the powers that be would be very afraid of a democratizing kind of AI influence. They like the cloak. They like obfuscation of politics, and people are like, why does our government suck so much? They say they're going to. We vote for them because they say they're going to do something. They do the opposite. Why is that? Gee. But if there was like a transparent system that says that's because they took $5 million from
and download a report.
And they took $5 million from OpenAI, and they took $5 million from all these people. That's why they're voting that way. And if it was put on a little app, like how fucking dishonest is mypolitician.com, whatever it is, right? And like,
now that sounds like a site I could get behind.
Maybe we can make an application.
Yeah, I was going to say I could build a Claude artifact that does that. Yeah.
It needs
All
to
right,
be
I got to go, gentlemen. I've got to go. I've got a hard stop, 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for joining. This was a great discussion. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And we will see you very soon on the next one, and we will play some trivia next time.
Yes, we played twice.
Yes. We will talk again soon, gentlemen.
Adios.
Thanks so much. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
It was nice seeing you guys.
Same way. Bye, Mike.
Yeah, have a good weekend, Sergio.
You too. Bye, Mike.